This is the K95.3 Sports Show podcast, brought to you by the Fan Zone in Wilmer's Candy Mall.
Welcome to the K95.3 Sports Show podcast. My name is Beau. I am your host. As usual, if you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button. Also hit the bell button if you're on your cell phone, and that'll give you push notifications when every new episode comes out every Wednesday morning. Also, thank you to the Fan Zone for sponsoring us. Get into the Candy Mall here in Wilmer and buy some stuff from the Fan Zone. Also, we are doing our Gophers ticket giveaway still. You will get your second of 4 words given to you later on in the show. So make sure you get those down, write them down, all 4 throughout the next 2 more weeks beyond this, and email me at k953sportshow@gmail.com for your chance to win 4 men's basketball Gopher tickets to the game in God, who are they going to play now? Just all of a sudden. Oh yeah, Indiana. There you go. You good listener to that. To Indiana in February. I believe it's February 16th. As usual, also email me your Mount Rushmore of Vikings players for your chance to come in and be in studio here with me for a podcast. I want the listeners of the Wilmer area to realize that this is a community-based podcast, and I want anybody who loves sports to come in and talk sports. So let's go ahead and see who we got. Obviously, you already heard my dad's here, Rolf Standfuss. How are you doing today, Dad?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. And I've got a newbie here today. We've got Steve Tammen, who works at Rule Tire and Auto. Tammen, how are you doing?
Excellent. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for coming, man. I appreciate it. So let's jump right into the Vikings-Lions game. I usually ask who is your MVP of the game. I think I kind of know, I have a safe guess on who we're all going to pick. But let's just go around the horn just for the heck of it and see what they say. So go ahead, Dad. You start off. Who do you think is the MVP of the game?
Well, let me think about that for a little bit. Let's see. 3.5 sacks and a fumble recovery for a touchdown. I think his name is Danielle Hunter, I believe.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, I think he's 99.
Yeah. Can't go wrong with that. Tammen?
Pretty safe choice with Danielle Hunter.
Yes, it is. It's a safe take. I also looked up, he also had a total of 9 tackles, so he led the team in tackles. And beyond his 3.5 sacks, he had 4 quarterback hits.
Wow.
Yeah, he was. I tell you, he was in beast mode on that day. I don't know what they put in him or whatever he was drinking, the Kool-Aid or what, but I tell you what, he was fabulous.
Yeah,
actually, the whole defensive line looked great. So.
Yeah, it was. Obviously, we did a Vikings record of 10 sacks in one game. We were just on top of them all game. We had a total of 17 quarterback hits. And it didn't really show on here. I'm assuming the hits are beyond the sacks.
Yep.
I would assume.
I so. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah,
I was going to say we had 10 sacks and easily could have had 3-4 more.
Yeah. It's so I was assuming that's true. So you had the 10 sacks, the 17 hits. So he was on his butt 27 different times, and you could tell Stafford was running for his life there, especially in the second half.
I think he went to urgent care afterwards to see if his ribs were still on him. I've been since the beginning of the year. I've been taping, shouldn't say taping, DVRing.
Showing your age.
Yeah, showing my age a little bit there. Anyway, the Aftermath on NFL Network, and I watched it again today, and they were showing that the 10 sacks that we had, they showed that we could have 3 or 4 more, like Steve said, but they also showed how the pocket collapsed so fast, and that's why I say we mauled them. We mauled that offensive line.
The whole defensive line was on fire, in my opinion. They looked really well. Yep.
Yeah. No, it was crazy. It's nice to see over the last handful of weeks us getting more and more back to the Vikings defense of last year. I saw earlier today that we are now up to the 6th overall defense. So, we started after the first few weeks. We were like in the 20s, and we've just been killing it ever since. Now we're up to the 6th defense, 6th best defense in the NFL. So we're finally showing up. Our D-line, my question is was our D-line just absolutely on fire on Sunday, or were the Lions' offensive line just that bad? What's your thoughts on that, Tammen?
I'd probably say it was a little bit of a combination of both. But yeah, the either way, I believe the defense looked amazing, and I'll take it. So.
Oh yeah, I would too. I think Detroit probably looked like we did against Buffalo.
That's a good point.
They were just they probably didn't get off the bus. But anyway, I was just enthused about how well the defensive line played. Also, I'd like to say also that it's we are back. I was at the New Orleans game and 2 plays, and we had 160 yards for Drew Brees. Man, the defense played great against them too, but we just had a couple bad turnovers that cost us the game. So,
and I want to mention too is that now it is kind of nice that we, well, I don't say kind of nice, but in a way, it's nice that the talking heads on ESPN and NFL Network and all the networks are now not talking about the Vikings again, because it seems like whenever we are put up in front and everybody's like, oh, the Vikings, they're my Super Bowl pick, or they're going to go all the way, that's when we just seem to start choking. So I'm glad that it's all Rams, Saints now. And you take a look. Now, we've played both of them. We played at the Rams and, of course, the Saints here. If we make the playoffs, obviously we're going to have to go to one of their places unless they just totally crap the bed.
Yeah.
So I seriously, if we play a straight-up game without giving them, like in the New Orleans game where they scored 14 points on a total of 18 total offensive yards, then, I don't see why we can't play against these guys. Why people think that they are so far ahead of us in talent when I just don't see it. I don't see it.
Well, I think the collapse against Buffalo and giving up the big plays off and on early this year probably has them not talking about us, which is fine. I agree with you, Beau. I'm glad when they're not talking about us because we seem to get more fired up. And all of a sudden they start talking and everybody says, oh, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. Then it's almost like it gets in everybody's head and a Buffalo game shows up.
Yeah.
I've been cheering for these guys a long time. I can almost guarantee you that that's what happens. We get in the sunshine, out there in the sunshine, everybody's talking about us. And the next game we look like we just a high school team. Which there's probably good high school teams too. They probably could have beat the Buffalo at that day. Who knows? Maybe Wilmer could.
That was ugly.
No, it was, definitely. It's, so I'm not really afraid of New Orleans and the Rams as people think we should be. People are mentioning Carolina. I'm not afraid of Carolina either. So we'll see how the rest of the season goes. I know the Rams are playing against Kansas City. I believe that's this week in Mexico City.
Yeah, I think you're right, Beau. I believe they are too.
Yeah, it's either this week or it's next week. I know it was coming up not too long after the Saints game. So, that might knock them down. That's going to be talk about a back and forth like the Saints was. I mean, that's going to be even more high-powered, I feel, because I still feel Kansas City has the best offense in the NFL. Saints and Rams probably a 2A, 2B situation, depending on who you ask. But, it's different. But, the defense just played great. Rhodes, was in there, was out for a little bit, went back in. So thank goodness we have a bye week here so everybody can get healthy and we can come back and just power through the rest of the season. Of course, Thielen missed out on his record-setting ninth game with 100 yards receiving. He did have 4 for 22 and a touchdown. Diggs not being there made a huge difference. And I almost wonder if at a point Cousins just stopped looking in his direction because he kind of assumed, okay, he's going to be double, because he was double covered all game.
Well, he was double covered. There was times when he was triple covered. I think even had Diggs been there, that would have helped a little bit for Thielen, but he was tied with the Lions guy, Calvin Johnson. They weren't letting him break that record, in my opinion.
Well, that's a good point. I didn't even think about the Lions purposely stopping.
They were out to shut him down, and then you have Diggs gone. That didn't help anything. So,
well, the thing too is, in the first half, Chad Beebe was in there and he caught 3 passes. And then all of a sudden, he all disappeared in the second half. And I know we're going to cover that in a little bit about how the second half struggled. But they made note in the Star Tribune that in the second half, Beebe was double covered also.
Really?
Yes. So they were double covering Beebe because he was shining in that first half. So,
and Beebe's a nice player. Don't get me wrong. I like Beebe. He seems to have some little pop to him. He's at, I don't even know how tall he is. Is he 5'8"? Maybe.
He's not very
sure.
tall.
Yeah.
No, his dad was short too.
Yeah, so I mean, he looks tiny out there. But, as if I was our local guy, Brendan Zylstra, and I'm like, well, I've been active every game this year, and I've gotten one pass thrown to me. I caught it, but BB on the practice squad and then he comes in, gets 3 catches, and actually plays that were designed for him. I almost wonder if him being the son of Don Beebe made a difference. If him being a professional, I don't know. Because of course Don was there and his whole family, and they showed him several times. But I thought maybe if that made the difference on why we were going to him as often as he did. Meanwhile,
Zylstra on the bench.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, still, he does a great job on our special teams. Oh, by the way, I just looked it up. Chad Beebe is 5'10". I think that may be stretching a little bit.
With his cleats on.
With his cleats on. Standing on a box. Yeah. But anyway, no, he does look small, but, 5'10" in NFL looks small.
Yeah, that's
it
true.
does. When you're standing in a huddle with the guys that are 6'5", 6'8", 6'7", you look small.
Yeah, no, that's
I look small at 5'8" when I'm standing next to somebody at 6 foot, so it'll be about the same thing,
So me.
Yeah, that's you.
I don't have.
You're
that
not
problem.
6 feet.
I'm a hair under 6 foot. I round up.
Oh yeah. Well, I round up 2 to 5'8". What are you talking about?
Oh yeah. Oh shoot. Well, you kind of touched on it with the a little bit, talking about the second half. Offensive struggles in the second half. It seems our offense lately has only been showing up for the one half of each game. Tammen, what do you think were maybe some of the problems that we ran into in the second half, or what were your thoughts on the offense in the second half?
I feel like they were out of sync that whole second half. I don't know if just not having Diggs there and then him not having Thielen being double covered and not being able to get to him, they did not look well at all to me in the second half. But when you got a defense that's doing what they were doing and able to score a touchdown, you're able to have a whole half off, I would say, I guess.
Well, that's true. And years ago, when I was younger, when we had the Purple People Eaters, when they were eating people up, the offense didn't score much either.
Yeah.
I think probably one dig. Dig. Get it? Diggs.
No.
Diggs on the team. In the second half, and the whole game. Our run game, I don't think is there yet. We had 128 yards, but 70 of us that was on one play,
and he was untouched.
And he was untouched, right? And so that you averaged only like on 19 carries, we averaged 2.6 yards. So on 50 yards above that 70 yards. So our run game is not there yet. I think that's why we struggled in that second half. I think maybe Detroit shut us down better than what they are. They're supposed to be a very poor run defense, and we didn't. We should have ran all over them.
Yeah.
And another thing too, passing. Cousins had his lowest game of the year, 164 yards. So only threw 22 times. But I think I didn't notice what the difference was in the time of possession and how many plays there were. I've got it right here.
He's human though. He's allowed to have a
I know.
Not to say a bad game.
Yeah, we didn't need him.
Less explosive game.
Yeah. We didn't need him, which is fine.
Yeah, it was 36 minutes to 23 minutes. Detroit. So, the defense was on the field a lot.
Yeah, I remember.
Offense wasn't. So I'm not saying that maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid with the Vikings. I never do. But I just think we just need to get that run game going so the passing game can open up a little more too.
And obviously with Cook's return, Cook returning, I always seem to put an S at the end of his name for some reason.
Yeah.
But with Cook returning here and obviously having a good game or a decent game with that big 70-yard run, he's just going to get better and better throughout the year. And I think that he's going to be a key thing for it because he is a totally different runner than Murray. Because when he hit that hole for that 70-yard run, he was through that.
Yeah.
If it was Murray, he probably would have gotten like a 10, 15, 20-yard gain because it would have collapsed a little faster. He doesn't have that juke. But, yeah, once that hole opened, he busted right through that. Cook returning is definitely going to have a huge benefit to our offense, and I'm looking forward to it because I said at the beginning of the year that before he got injured that my outlandish statement for the year was that he was going to consider a top 3 running back in the league. He can still do that, just in the second half of the league, and it'll be interesting. Any comments on you Tammen, about the offensive struggles? I mean, did you see anything that kind of popped out, or the Cook's return, or anything like that?
I think the Cook return I think they're still protecting him a little bit. I don't think they're giving him as many carries as he would get if he was on top of his game. Having another week off is probably going to benefit all of them, especially him and Diggs and everybody that's banged up a little bit. I think that's going to be all right. But I just feel like they're protecting Cook a little bit yet. So
he made a statement in the Star Tribune. They quoted him as saying that when he went through that hole, he says he felt his hamstring, and he says all of a sudden I planted my foot and I was okay. I said I took off. So. And his speed was faster than the guy from Kansas City.
Yeah, I saw
22 miles an hour.
Yeah, I saw that he would the fastest running back run of the season in the NFL.
So slightly faster than me.
Yeah,
just a little bit. I think maybe 1 or 2 yards. I mean, miles per hour.
Yeah. Just were you in a golf cart?
I got longer strides, so I appear not to be as fast.
Yeah, there you go. Deceptively fast.
Yeah. Sneaky fast.
Sneaky fast.
Well, let's kind of jump into final thoughts on the game. Is there anything you guys wanted to bring up that I didn't kind of talk about, or you wanted to talk about at all?
How do you rate the defense and offense in that game? A, B, C, D.
I feel the defense was A+. I mean, you couldn't ask any more out of them. But then again, the offense, it struggled, but we didn't need them because the defense was so good. Probably a B minus, I suppose, for the offense. But the defense, when you got A plus defense, you don't need a spectacular offense right now.
Like you said, I hate to keep going back to this, but years ago there used to be some games that were 6-3, 6-0.
Jesus.
And the defense was just the defense was playing on no offense. You don't see that nowadays because everybody can't touch anybody when they run down the field. But
it's just a totally different game.
But with the defense, I agree, Steve. I prompted you on that because I had A+ too, plus a little more even, but. And the offense, I gave him actually a C+. I gave him a little less than a B. And maybe because Diggs was not in there. Maybe now that I read that, and I didn't notice that BB was being double covered, but they did. So that's what I'd say with a C+.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right. And so, I mean, we're at the bye week, which, by the way, I think this is the perfect time of the year for a bye week. I think week 8, 9, or 10 is halfway through the season, a little over halfway through the season. You get the bang up. I hate having week 5 buys because it just seems like the last part of the season is so long. So
11 more games, you get a lot more injuries.
Yeah. Too early is not good, and too late, especially if you got some momentum going. You're ripping off 3-4 wins in a row, and then you got to take a break. That's not that's no fun either. So
well, I think after the break or after the bye, I think Rhodes is going to be probably back 100%.
Diggs should be. Doesn't sound like it's a major.
No,
I haven't heard like it was something bad.
No, I haven't either.
Barr
should be back.
I know Sendejo's been practicing.
Yeah, he's been practicing and limited. So we need him back. He's just a beast back there. And I think some receivers in the league, when they catch the ball, their first look around is looking for Sendejo coming at him and just creaming him. And he hits hard.
Yeah, he does. So we got. So taking a look at the schedule for the rest of the season, so we got 2, 4, 6, we got 7 games left. Taking a look, I'm going to go through them here, and then we'll just kind of talk a little bit. We're at Chicago, then home against Green Bay, at New England, at Seattle, home against Miami, at Detroit, home against Chicago. Taking a look at that schedule, I see us going no worse than 5-2. Or at least we shouldn't go worse than 5-2. If we do, and I have the 2 potential losses. I have one for sure loss, New England. I would love to go in New England and beat them, and it's possible, but I'm going to mark that as a loss. And we always play like crap against Chicago in Chicago. Whether we're
there's
15,
something about it.
Yeah, whether we're a 15-1 team and they're a 1-15 team, that one loss is going to be at Chicago. For us, and their one win will be against us. So So, that's how I kind of take a look at the schedule. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are. I mean, does that sound kind of what you were thinking of? 5-2, 6-1. I mean, do you see, another game that we should be kind of worried about at all? Tammen?
Steve. You want to see him? They're there.
I guess I'm on board totally with the Chicago. We play terrible against Chicago in Chicago. We always have. That's, I guess, and then just the New England game. I'm going to go out and say that we're going to win that game myself. I'm hoping the defense shows up and we put up like a 24-17 win, something like that.
That would be nice.
That would be stellar.
That'd be a statement game.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the only one that really, really worries me. Green Bay kind of does a little bit, but not the way they're playing right now. So,
and it's at home. It's at U.S. Bank, so that makes a difference for us too.
That helps, yeah.
We don't want.
Yeah, other than like you say, the Chicago game, that makes me nervous even when the schedule comes out, no matter when it is or what we got going on or what they have going on. I don't know what it is, but we have issues there. So.
Yeah, I'd like to look back on how many years in the years we played at Chicago, what our record is over those years. But, I'm scared of that game. I'm a little more hopeful. Now we're coming after bye week. Maybe we've got a little more time to prepare for them.
There you go.
Their defense.
Hopefully Khalil Mack's still injured.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it sounds like he's going to be back this week, but we'll see. Maybe he hurt his ankle again and he'll be out again.
There you go.
I think as far as I can drink the Kool-Aid, Vikings, my heart, I'd like to go 7-0. But 6-1, I think, is our best bet. If we don't stumble in Chicago, I think New England. If we beat New England, we're going to have to treat Brady just like Breeze. He quick delivery on his passes, and that's why him and Breeze and Rodgers are so darn good. They take their quick delivery on their passes. Hopefully we don't stumble against anybody else. But I can go really serious and say 5-2 and end up, what would that be? 10-5-1, something like that.
Yep.
And have the division because we'd beat Detroit and maybe take out Chicago at the end of the year. But Chicago's always been so darn lucky with their defense. And Beau and I were talking about on Sunday that a fumble when you fumble against Chicago, you might as well just say, okay, it's going to bounce exactly into their hands, and the guys will be running for about 5 yards before he picks the ball up. So you got a full head of steam. Or a pass tipped.
There's nobody going to be in front of him.
And nobody's in front of him. I'd love to see the statistics on that, too, going back as far as Chicago. And interceptions, pick sixes, fumble recoveries for touchdowns. They've always been in the right spot, the right time. And it's usually against the Vikings that we have that problem. So we got it really against Chicago. Oops, I'm going to go. Oh, I am too. I'm going to talk this too. Against Chicago, excuse me. If we, again, turn the ball over, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
But if we can get back healthy and keep the ball from dropping it on the ground or Cousins to throw an interception, I don't see any problem beating Chicago at Chicago. But I'm drinking Kool-Aid too.
Yeah, and I don't. And that's the thing is, I always feel that the only team that can really beat us is ourselves, and that's been kind of shown a little bit this year. We had the bad game or the turnovers that led to the 14 points with New Orleans. The beginning of the game, we just got shell-shocked against Buffalo. The Rams game was, short week.
Big plays.
Yeah, short week, big plays,
and
Barr being exposed.
Yeah.
We had some injuries on that week also. But we were driving for the tie and touchdown, and then, we had the fumble from Cousins. So, I'm not afraid of any team in the NFL at all with our team.
In my opinion, we're 4, 5, 6 plays away from being 8-1.
Right.
7-2, 8-1.
Yep.
The only game we really lost was that Buffalo game, and that attributes to just not showing up. And I don't know if that was an emotional letdown after what's his name was out.
Cooks.
Yeah.
Or Cook.
Yeah.
I always say Cooks.
I don't know.
So,
I think you're thinking of food.
Yeah.
Just in my opinion, we're 5-3-1. Wouldn't be hard to be much better.
Yeah. So. No, I agree.
Well, if you look at that schedule in the beginning of the year, I had the Vikings at 5-4 at this point.
So yeah,
not losing to Buffalo. No, but I did have them at 5-4. because I thought they'd lose in Green Bay. Well, they tied there, and then they lose to Buffalo. Then we beat Philadelphia. I had them losing to Philadelphia because it just was Philadelphia at that time.
Yeah.
So, but I'm happy where they're at.
Nope.
I just hope we can go like 6-1 the rest of the way. I love to host a home game, and then maybe the top 2 seeds getting or something. And we can get into it's going to be through. It's going to be through Rams. It's going to be either through L.A. or it could be through Carolina. You never know. Carolina and New Orleans.
Yeah, they play
played
two out of their
twice.
2 out of their last 3 games are Carolina,
New Orleans. So
New Orleans going against each other. The 2 out of the last 3 games. So that should be interesting. So that'll wrap it up kind of on the Viking stuff. Before we get into Timberwolves, I'll mention that the word of the week for the Gophers tickets is picture. The word of the week is picture. So let's go ahead and jump on over to Timberwolves. We don't talk a lot of Wolves and we don't talk a lot of Wild so far just because it's football season, let's be honest. Nothing else matters until it's over. But I feel like I needed to bring up the Rose 50-point game and just his resurgence. When we signed him last year, I was actually kind of happy because I was kind of like, he knows the system, he knows the coaching staff. He's going to come in, and whatever we can get out of him will be great. He came in with the minimum. If we get anything out of him, it'll be great. And he came in and he did well last year when he played. So far this year, he's got 17.4 points per game. He's doing about 27.9 minutes per game, and he's shooting .439 on the season. And, normally he comes off the bench. Teague has been injured, so like last night, Teague was injured, so he started. But I see if he continues and stays healthy, I see no reason why Rose should not be in consideration for the 6th Man of the Year award. What's your thoughts on that, Tammen?
I believe that came out of his mouth. That was his goal for the year.
I never heard that.
I heard that on ESPN a few weeks back. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't like the signing when they signed him last year. But I didn't want to be the Timber Bulls, so
yeah, the Timber Bulls. Yeah,
the Timber Bulls.
I'm not a huge fan of Coach Tibbs, but we'll leave that for another segment. But yeah he's doing rather well. Man, what a story! I looked into the whole deal, being the Rookie of the Year all the way to the youngest MVP, and then going down and hurting that knee a couple times, and I don't know. It's could go down as a bargain buy for us. I mean, as minimum last year, and I don't know what we were signing him at.
I think it was almost minimum this year too.
It was, I think, slightly over, but huge. That's huge. So.
Yeah, no, it's been nice to see, and like you said, it's a great story of just the persistence of wanting to get back to the MVP level that he is. I mean, the amount of work I'm sure he's done over the last few years, getting tossed from team to team, getting disrespected, getting laughed at, and then he comes back. I mean, I totally understand how he was so emotional.
And he's undersized, but I like him. He plays hard. He plays well. And, again, last night he outscored Butler, I believe. He had 21. Butler had 20. I'm not real positive on those stats.
Yeah, I didn't check last night's games.
But, yeah, I'll take it, especially for the price we're paying for him. So,
No, I agree. And speaking of Butler, so, the long – the long – throughout the Timberwolves, we've had 2 big babies, and we've had a third one that wasn't a baby until after the season. It wasn't during the season, really. So, of course, what I'm talking about is, other than Butler being a giant baby, is, of course, Marbury back in the day when we were set up again to have a nice run with KG and Marbury, the kids. We're finally looking like we're going to finally take that step as a franchise. And, of course, Marbury just couldn't handle being second, even though he was second, but he wasn't. I mean, he was the point guard. So we got that. But then, of course, we had Sprewell. He wasn't a problem during the season. It was just afterwards where he was like, oh, I need to feed my family. And he turned down multiple millions of dollars. So, that's why I didn't really count him as a full-fledged baby, because it didn't come in the middle of the season. It was after he wasn't signed with us anymore, so we went after him to sign him again, and he just disrespected us that way. So he wasn't on the team. But the whole Butler thing, I mean, why? You can tell it's just all about money for him.
Oh, for sure. And I think his coming here, I think he thought he was going to be able to attract another big guy, big name. Just never happened. And I don't know. I'm not a huge Butler fan, but I see two sides of the story. Boy, you gave Wiggins a lot of money. And,
Yeah, I agree. I'd rather give it. To be honest, I would rather give it to Butler.
Wiggins should have went. I don't know. It's hard for me because I think we should have kept Zach LaVine. But Jimmy Butler, like he says, he's the hardest worker on the team. He'll straight out tell you that he's not the most talented. That Cat's the most talented, and Wiggins is the most explosive. But hard work outbeats talent every day, in my opinion. So, I don't blame him for being as crabby as he is, but he is being a baby. He is being a baby about it. I will agree that
there's better ways to go.
Oh, for sure.
Not playing because of general soreness. We're 6 games into the season, buddy. You're a professional athlete. If it was us, if it was any of us three, we'd have more than general soreness.
Oh, yeah.
So, but for you, you're a professional athlete at the peak of your condition athletically. You're not sore 5-6 games into the season. So, I mean, I would have less of a problem if he did it differently. If he came to this and he just acted differently. He didn't. He wasn't so much in the media. Did a little more background. I mean, you could show a little dissatisfaction so people know, but the way he's doing it, totally wrong. And unfortunately, it's just going to set back the Timberwolves again for a few more years, which probably isn't a bad thing. So hopefully, like, Houston and Golden State break up a little bit so we have a chance. Because, I mean, let's be honest, we weren't going to win any championship in the next couple of years anyways with Butler.
No.
Because of those super teams.
Well, we're also in the wrong division. It's always been a strong division, and we've always been at the bottom.
Yeah.
We got Golden State. Who else is in there? Utah.
Houston. Yeah, Utah's been decent.
Yeah.
Houston, it's just,
I'm not really up on the NBA and the Timberwolves. I'm a Timberwolves bandwagon jumper.
Yeah.
and it's kind of hard to jump on the bandwagon. They haven't done much. So.
Well, you don't have to really.
It's fun to watch them, I
haven't been to a game since Wally Zerbiak played.
It's been a while for me too. I think it's probably been 5-6 years for me. I went with Warner.
Okay.
Him and I went down to a game together, and I think it's.
I actually went to a game last year. I was just kidding, but
okay.
And I actually, I don't know if anybody knows Rick Howsky, but he hooked me up with some tickets to the game, and
nice.
He's got really good seats. And we ended up getting there early, and took my niece and her boyfriend and another guy with, and we ended up as the halftime entertainment doing the bouncy ball or whatever them balls that you run into each other.
Really? I never. Did you comment
Oh,
that on
knocker
Facebook?
balls.
Knocker balls.
Knocker,
yes, knocker
you were
ball.
in a knocker ball?
Yeah, we.
wow.
So it was 3 of us played. 3 guys from Germany. I don't know if they were there to watch Dirk Nowitzki, but we were playing the Mavs that game, and it was pretty good time. We ended up winning. Me and the 2 guys I was with.
Nice.
They gave us a nice reward for winning. But as I was walking back out of the tunnel from underneath, taking the knocker ball off, I ran smack dab into Dirk Nowitzki. And if anybody knows me, I'm 6'7", and he's a big boy.
Yeah.
I had to look up to him. Let's just say he's 7'1" or whatever he's listed at, and he is all of that.
Yeah. That's funny. So it'll be interesting to see when and if we eventually trade Butler and what we get. So that'll probably be the next time we really talk about it. Hopefully we talk that we get a good amount back for him. So, that's what we'll kind of wrap up with Timberwolves. We'll go ahead and jump to Tammen's Mount Rushmore of Vikings players. As usual for you listeners, if you want to be on the show, send it in to K953sportshow@gmail.com, and you have a potential to be on the show because I want you in here. So,
4 different groups.
so we'll see. It's Tammen. What you got for your 4 Vikings of Mount Rushmore?
I'm going to be a little odd. A couple of my picks are probably going to be pretty obvious. The other 2 of you guys are going to look at me like, what are you thinking? But
Never will. I'm a Viking fan.
huge Chris Carter fan. Grew up watching him, and that's what do you say? And there's nothing better than Chris Carter. All he does is catch touchdowns.
Tiptoes.
Yep, and those sideline catches. Wow.
Yes. Yep.
I never played a minute of organized tackle football in my life, but I sure thought I was going to be Chris Carter one day.
Yeah.
And then Randy Moss, obviously. Where'd he go wrong?
With
that. But and then John Randall. He's got some Wilmer connections here. tied back to Wilmer. Met him several different times. Pretty nice guy. And just as a child, growing up watching him, I think he played the game the right way.
A beast.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Motor was always running.
Yeah.
His motor was always running.
He was out there to draw blood if he had to. So, and then I rounded up with Chad Greenway.
They're good, yeah.
How do you replace a guy like that on the team? Maybe not the most talented guy, but man,
consistent.
He was consistent, steady. Whatever you asked him to do, he did it. I think he was probably one of the easiest and most coachable guys that the Vikings have ever had on their team. And what a leader on and off the field, man.
Yep.
Yeah, it was. I'm glad he came back for that last year, and I've met him once or twice. And stand up, super stupendous guy. So.
Yep. Nice, yeah. That's the first appearance by Chad Greenway on the Mount Rushmore, and well deserved, like you said. He's you talk about from 2000 to today, if you're going to do an all Vikings team, he's the starting line. He's one of the starting linebackers, definitely. Guaranteed, and he's probably the best linebacker that we've had since then. So yeah, there's no complaints about that for Mount Rushmores. Obviously Carter and Moss have been on almost everybody's. John Randall hadn't been on one for a little while, but it's great that he's back. He's amazing, and like you said, the Wilmer connection, that's awesome. It was cool how he married the local Wilmer gal and just everything, and lived out here for a while. And that's I've ran into him a few times, and just super nice guy and professional, and I tried not to fanboy over him at all. It's like, when I'm working at Cashwise in the meat department, he would go through and I would just say, as badly as I wanted to run up to him and be like, sign this parchment paper or whatever.
Sign this T-bone.
Yeah, sign this T-bone. Yeah. As badly as I wanted to do that, I was like, you know what? He's out here. He's shopping. It's on his off time, so I'll just say, hey, what's up, John? And he just waves at me, and then that was good enough for me, even though I regret not doing it because I want his autograph. But I'll live. So, no, that's a great Mount Rushmore. As usual, send me your Mount Rushmore Vikings players if you want to have a chance to be on the show. Like I said, community-based podcast. Anybody and everybody has a chance to be on the show.
Say, Beau.
So, yes.
You remember this? This is my fourth time in, and I did have 4 sets of Mount Rushmores.
Yes.
So I guess I don't get to have my other 3.
Yeah, no. It's just only one Mount.
Oh, jeez. I'll mail them in.
There isn't 16 heads on Mount Rushmore.
They're different heads.
I did have a little trouble picking them. I had the 4 that I think should be up there just talent-wise, and then I had 4 just good guys.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. You can't go wrong with it. And I will we'll probably wrap it up here. We'll go ahead and mention that next week's I'll be happy to announce that we're going to have an extended interview with Brendan Zylstra on the show. He will be coming in and being in studio here later this week, and I will be replaying the interview next week for the podcast. So nice that he's going to be stopping by on his bye week to come visit us and talk a little more Vikings football with that. So I think we'll wrap it up. Thank you, Tammen. Thank you, Dad, as usual. And we will see you all next week. Enjoy a Viking-free weekend. Enjoy just watching football.
I feel like a sixth man because I'm called on second, last seconds.
Yeah, you're my back
off the bench. Off the bench.
Old reliable, we call that.
Emphasis.
Old.
Old.
Okay, sure. Emphasis on the old.
Old, yes, on old.
All right. Thanks again for joining us today, guys. Subscribe, hit the bell. We'll see you all next week.